Okay, welcome to today's webinar. This is for folks who are on a system that might not be fully able to scale with where your business is and where it's growing. QuickBooks might be one example. A lot of our customers are on QuickBooks or are considering moving to something that's a little more robust than QuickBooks. It's just an example of how sometimes we start small and then our business grows and we need to start contemplating what other options are out there that can help with business management. So let's take a look. First, what happens is often you can run a business on spreadsheets, especially when you first get started, and there's a lot you can do and they're very powerful. And then maybe at some point you found accounting software. So it's something that just handles your general ledger and maybe the basic accounting functions. But unless you get a true ERP or enterprise resource planning software solution, everything tends to just sprout up in different silos, right? So our operations maybe happen somewhere, and maybe sales is happening in a CRM system of some kind. But what sometimes can happen is without a single vision or a single tool to keep everything knitted together, these silos spring up and make it a little more difficult to run your business because you've got lots of different places to look to find the information that you need. And sometimes that data don't agree. So you're having to really check and recheck, and there's no single source of truth. So this is one of the things that can just happen as a normal part of growth. So today, what we're going to do is kind of address how to make that next step in the evaluation decision. We'll talk about some common pain points that happen when you're on a more limited system like QuickBooks. We'll talk about Acumatica as a cloud ERP or a business management tool. I'll show you the product so you can get a sense of it. And we'll talk a little bit about what's next or what you can do as you're making this evaluation decision. I'm your presenter today. My name is Arlene Welty. I'm a solutions consultant at Galeforce, and I'm often one of the first people you'll chat to when you'd like to look at Acumatica. I like to learn about what people's businesses do and think through how Acumatica might be a solution for you. The goal is that we get everything under a single pane of glass, right? Like I said before, maybe you've got spreadsheets in one place, perhaps a customer relationship management or like a sales or prospecting software happening elsewhere, maybe even a project management software somewhere else. But this causes a lot of redundancy in the work that you have to do and causes you a lot of drag to get at all the data that you need to make a good decision. That is what I mean by pain point. So with Acumatica, we can get everything all in one place, get everything synchronized so you can make the decisions that you need based on enough data to make those good decisions. Outgrowing your current system may mean that you're thinking about something called digital transformation. So implementing modern tools, implementing tools that make you a more modern digital business. This is something that has been happening to lots of companies due to the pandemic, but there have been some benefits, and digital transformation is part of what Acumatica has already been doing for over a decade now, bringing the best tools to companies at fair value prices. Digital transformation is something that Acumatica has really got under control. They were founded in 2008 and it was born in the cloud. So what they mean by that is, it was already born on the tools like HTML5 and web services and technologies that are used today. And they developed a complete cloud and mobile solution. And this bet really paid off because now what's happening is a lot of other competitors or even legacy software or smaller pieces of software are scrambling to try to figure out how to get to the cloud and how to start incorporating some of these tools. But Acumatica was already created under the rubric of those more advanced current secure technologies, which means as you think through, okay, how do I make these decisions? How do I make an evaluation? Acumatica is already there, right? You may already be considering or even using other cloud solutions, but it can be a problem if those solutions don't talk to each other. Integrations are a key part of what Galeforce does, and integrations allow us to sort of see all the information that we need to see all in one place. So that means sales, operations, finance, warehouse, all of this information needs to be together, digital, coherent, and easy to access. And this is what you get when you think through digital transformation, is how do I see everything digitally, securely. A lot of businesses are realizing this need to participate in an integrated world where all these applications can talk to each other. And Acumatica positions itself as a technology company. So they focus on innovating, developing, and maintaining the product, and more than half of their employees are working in product development. So what that means is if you are currently experiencing dismay or maybe lack of enthusiasm for some of the product updates that you're experiencing with legacy software, you will be pleasantly surprised to see the innovation and product development that happens with every single Acumatica cloud release. So this is addressing some of those pain points that can happen when you're running legacy software, a smaller piece of software that isn't getting as much development as maybe you really deserve. One of the Acumatica customers of Galeforce has really been pleased to see how much that she's able to use in Acumatica and how it incorporates so many elements of her business that she was handling in lots of different places. So a point of sale service, an inventory management area, of course, all the finances, but all the sales orders and operations that are part of a distribution company, Acumatica handles natively. And this is the first time that everything has actually fit under one roof at this company. So thriving in the new digital economy means working on your terms, right? Your devices without restrictions. So on any device, desktop, laptop, Windows, Apple, Android, you'll have the same Acumatica experience from anywhere. So if you've got a browser connection and a connection to the internet, then you can run Acumatica. So imagine doing something like recording expenses, maybe approving transactions through an approval workflow, and being able to do all this while you're traveling or on the go without having to do any special logging in to your old systems. You can just open up your Acumatica app on your mobile device and allow your business to continue to run. Also, the mobile functionality that I mentioned takes advantage of phone features like cameras, GPS, and maps, so it can integrate with data that's already on your phone. You'll see this when we look at the product, but Acumatica gets ranked highest in usability consistently. So what does that mean? Acumatica, based on the way they built the product, tries to make it easy to find the information that you need, add the data that Acumatica needs, and navigate comfortably throughout the product. You'll see that there are lots of little helpful elements in Acumatica that allow you to change the screens around just for you without affecting all other users, but that make it easier for you to do your work while someone else might want a slightly different experience, and they can have that within Acumatica. You'll see what that looks like. So one of the other pain points that I'm wanting to introduce a counterpoint to has to do with big upgrades and installations. So if you're used to coping with a massive, huge lift for an upgrade that involves server-side upgrades, multiple client-side installations, those all go away. There's no application to install on servers or workstations. So what that means is you don't have to worry about infrastructure anymore, okay? This is what it means to take advantage of a contemporary software as a service cloud solution. Acumatica's technology uses the best in web technology through its XRP platform, X meaning, variable, fill in the blank, to ensure that it's easy to access, easy to use, and also easy to integrate with other applications. Okay, integrations. The XRP base platform makes Acumatica really adaptable. So it's built on this XRP platform, and other publishers are also building out their systems on the Acumatica XRP platform. So you'll see some very common household names on this slide to show you these are the tools that you will be able to access from within Acumatica. So you log into Acumatica and you can have the experience of integration with all these household names because of the open APIs that Acumatica offers. I mentioned APIs, and what that means is application programming interface, sort of like the conduits or the doors through which the different pieces of software can talk to each other. And when you've got an open API, then your business is able to operate in this connected environment that, again, delivers on that promise of seeing everything under a single pane of glass. No more searching through last month's spreadsheets to find out what happened. I can see it all in Acumatica today in real time. Acumatica takes your security very seriously. It's hosted in the AWS data centers, that's Amazon Web Services, and they've got physical security along with role-based access within the product. So what that means is people only see what they need to see based on your desired configuration. Advanced security is built in. You can use multi-factor authentication and even IP restrictions. In terms of data, you also own your data. This is not true for lots of other software publishers, but Acumatica has a customer bill of rights that acknowledges that you own your data. It's always secure. And if you ever wanted to leave Acumatica, you can do a full relational database export at any time, even if you wanted to take it somewhere else. So that means not just a bunch of spreadsheets with, let's say, your customer data, but a full relational database export that you could then query and use as a way to show that transparency that you own your data. So we talked about scale earlier in this webinar, that it's very normal for folks to grow out of the software that they're using now for accounting, right? It just happens as your business grows. It's very common to realize that what you've got just is not able to scale with where you're trying to go. Acumatica offers growth-friendly licensing on a pay-as-you-go basis that can grow or shrink based on your business. So you don't need to pay per user. With lots of other tools, you've got to pay for each license. In essence, you're sort of penalized for adding more people to the system, even if adding more people to the system would help your business grow. So Acumatica looks at this a little bit differently. Acumatica offers unlimited user access, so your technology can scale with your business. This is helpful for cases where you could see maybe offering your customers a very limited view where they could log in and see, for example, their statements, okay? Or you could have an external vendor log in to see data related to them. So external partners, customers, vendors, even employees for managing expenses. Everyone can have a login that is secure and see the data that's relevant to them. And it allows you to have a single source of truth where everything is, so that you can make the business management decisions that you need based on all the information that you require. Okay, so let's say it's day one, you've implemented Acumatica, everyone's ready to go, and there's a question about how to reverse a transaction or something. This can all happen. You can get answers on the fly within the product help. And in addition, Acumatica offers the industry's most comprehensive online training totally free in its Open University. So Open University has free educational resources. They're based on learning paths. So for example, you might take a finance path, or perhaps a sales, or even a technical path. So you'll get training guides, sample files, recordings and presentations, and you can actually follow the same paths that consultants follow in terms of learning paths. So Acumatica makes that information very transparent and allows you to grow and self-educate as much as you'd like to within your business. So in terms of scale, again, it gives you the freedom and resources that you need to grow your business, educate your people, and make sure that you've got everything you need on your side in terms of resources. So why Acumatica as a counterpoint to legacy software or a smaller piece of software like QuickBooks? It's born in the cloud. You've got access anywhere from any device. You don't have to worry about any infrastructure concerns. So no server-side upgrades followed by client station installations. You're positioning your business to grow. And often this is one of the biggest decisions a company will make, is what business management software to use. This decision, you need to feel good about it at all levels of the business, and choosing a leading edge technology positions you for modern security as you think through how to make this digital transformation happen. Finally, the licensing model is very customer friendly. You're able to add users as you need, grow and shrink as you need, and it really creates a system that allows you to be very transparent with the information that you need to share across the organization. Okay, so we'll do a quick demo here so you can actually see the product. If you've got questions, just add them to the Q&A or the chat. All right, so we're going to look at the customer view here. We're looking at Acumatica. I'm just going to refresh this dashboard. So Acumatica positions itself as ERP, which means Enterprise Resource Planning, but we really think of it as something bigger, really business management software. And Acumatica is a tool that can act as a single source of truth for your business, linking front office to back office, manufacturing to accounts receivable, linking everything together. You can access this anywhere. You can see I'm just on a browser right now. The full product is available in my browser or on my phone, either through the app or even just browsing there on the browser on my app, on my phone. And it's role-based. So what I see on this dashboard, for example, has to do with my security permissions within the product. I'll also point out that a common limitation in software that you're growing out of is that you've only got one company and maybe even limited by fiscal year. With Acumatica, you can see here, I've got 3 companies and 4 branches. So you can even have a hierarchy. So right now I'm in the products wholesale branch under the Revision 2 products company. but I've got 3 companies called Revision 2 and 4 of these branches. You'll also notice I can really easily switch between these. So if I wanted to look, for example, at the data associated with products retail, what happens is my whole screen refreshes to show me the data associated with products retail. I don't have to log out and log back in or have a separate session somewhere else in a different browser. It can all be in one place. And you'll also see at the end when I show you financial reporting that you can see your financial reports broken out by company and branch, or you can roll them all up into a consolidated report. So hopefully this gives you a sense of, okay, I see how I could scale because I've got the ability to incorporate multiple companies, multiple branches, even multiple currencies if that's required. So we'll go back into products wholesale. So just in terms of navigation, I showed you that Acumatica wins for usability. Let me show you why. Acumatica is organized in terms of workspaces. Along the left are the sort of subject matter areas of these different workspaces. So we group together different business processes in different workspaces. So for example, if I click on payables for the AP workspace, you can see that I have got the common transaction and processes. I've configured this screen, just like any user can, to only show me the things that I use the most. But if I click show all, now I see everything. So if I find that I want to change this around, I can configure this, configure the quick menu to just show me the areas in payables that I use the most. These tiles also anticipate my most common payable needs. So a new bill, a new payment, seeing some vendor details, or even adding a new vendor are these common tiles that I've added on top to make it easy for me to do what I need to do. I might also decide that I want to have lots of other areas, not just within payables, appear in one place as a favorite. So let's say I add prepare payments as a little star here. We'll see that show up in my favorites workspace. So you might see how these could start working together. If I've got the receivables workspace, the screen is going to reload to show me all these same activities just related to receivables. So you can see how security might work here too. If you want a clear, bright line between payables and receivables, that's easy to create. It's easy to define a workspace for one team, or even within that workspace, define a security hierarchy for even different members of the team. So looking at receivables, you can see there's this real consistency between the workspaces. So in receivables, I've got those common tiles for things that I do the most. I've got transaction and processes. Let's say I add invoices and memos as a favorite for transactions. Acumatica responds to that and makes me sort of a special favorites area that now I can see I had added prepare payments and I added invoices and memos from receivables. These other favorites existed. If I want those to go away, I just get rid of them and they go away from my favorites. But this is what we mean by usability and making the system work for the individuals using it without having to hire a developer to change a screen every time we want to do that. Okay, let's talk about dashboards a bit. So I know this sounds like a dashboard kind of buzzword, but this is a dashboard gadget that shows us business intelligence. What is business intelligence? And what can the power of business intelligence do to help you? We think of it as much more than just running a report, okay? It's not just, all right, show me the sales this year compared to sales last year for my top 5 customers. It's having multiple types of strategies and tools to analyze your data the way you want to. So if we look at this customer view dashboard, and just as a preview, there are lots of other dashboards that we could look at depending on role. This is a dashboard that gives me a sense of what's happening with my customers, my sales, my opportunities, my AR that looks a little concerning at the moment. These provide leading industry metrics, KPIs, tasks, trends, and other key pieces of information that you need to run your business. What we like to ask is to picture you, instead of working from, let's say, your email inbox reactively, imagine making a dashboard that would allow you to work from what's most important every day. If you could build a dashboard that would show you the issues that are actually most important to your business, imagine how this would allow you to do more work on the business instead of just working reactively in the business. All these data are real time. So they're showing me the current data in the system now, and I can even drill down on this. Let's say right now I'm looking at the sales, the trends for everyone. But if I wanted to limit it by just a specific customer, because maybe I've got them on the phone or something, I just add them as a filter, and all these dashboard gadgets respond and show me just the data for ABC Studios. So I can see what they've bought, their items purchased in the last 12 months, even recent activities and communications I've had with them, as well as customer contacts. Now, these are all just widgets that are based on generic inquiries, which we will talk about in a bit, but they're basically summarized data that help you make the decisions that you need. Now we'll look back at everyone, so I'm just going to remove the filter. We'll take a look around this dashboard, and then I'll just show you how easy it is to customize this dashboard. So here we've got sales opportunities and orders. I can see what I need to ship, my sales order trends by month, my AR. I'll just add that these numbers are configurable. If this number is not concerning to your business and it's only concerning at 10 times this, you can define this color coding based on that. I've got a lot of open support cases. I've got a lot of overdue cases, and I can see several of my customer contacts here, as well as my recent activities. So let's add a dashboard gadget. We're going to add a pivot table. A lot of people on this webinar are very comfortable and used to using pivot tables, so I wanted to use that as a relatable example. We are going to make a little pivot table gadget based on cases. So I want you to think about this tool not just as a strict financial reporting tool, but as something that can really help manage the business. And what that means is thinking through, how could we take care of our customers more, maybe keep track of customer concerns. So I'm going to show you that alongside these other customer related widgets. So we choose the screen. In this case, I chose a screen that shows a list of cases. And we'll choose this pivot table. This is a pivot that shows us cases by type. So we can see what kind of cases are happening most often and who's managing them. So ideally, we're thinking through what are the common case types so that I can better track those as they come in. I'm just going to drag this to make it a little bit bigger. And you can see for the different types of cases, I've got billing questions, other inquiries, maybe product support. And I can see the people on my team who are taking them, and I can see the totals of these. They're hyperlinked, so I can always drill in to see a specific case detail if I want. When I take it out of design mode, you can see it's been added to my dashboard. So I do that to just demonstrate you don't necessarily have to be a developer to add something like a widget to a dashboard that will help you make the decision that you need to make based on all the information in the system. So let's talk a little bit more about usability. I'm just going to show one of those little tips and tricks that make life easy for folks using the system every day. We're going to look at this in the receivables workspace. Okay. In receivables, I'm going to look at the list of invoices and memos. When I first come to this screen, it's basically a list of all the invoices and memos in the system. It's everything. Okay. So not necessarily where you would normally start each day, but for the purposes of a demonstration, I want to show you how we can get at the information that we want. And I'm going to show you how to basically copy and paste one invoice and just easily create another one. But before I do that, I just want to give you a sense of how does Acumatica make life easy as I'm navigating through everything. On this list of invoices and memos, there's a little side panel here that I can open up if I want. And what this side panel does is allows me to scroll through the list of invoices and memos and just get a summarized glimpse of them in a side panel. Now, as I move through the different invoices, the side panel reloads and shows me what I need to see related to that specific invoice. So ultimately what we'll do is we'll look at a couple of these, and then we're going to search for a specific invoice. To find it, we'll copy and paste that. When you search, you can either use this global search up on the top left. This searches the entire system for any keyword that you add. So you could add a customer name, an invoice number, an employee name, a GL transaction ID, a batch number. It will search everything for whatever you input. And this filter on the invoices and memos screen will search the data that's part of the invoices and memos table. So like I mentioned, this side panel is allowing me to do a preview, to just take a glimpse into this invoice rather than clicking it, opening it, processing it, and so on. It allows me to just see a preview of it. And it even includes something called workflow, which in essence anticipates my next move. In this case, my next move is probably to pay this. So Acumatica allows me to make those choices. This ellipsis also allows me to make other choices. So maybe I actually need to reverse it or write it off. I can do any of those items. Now, if I want to look at a different one, this one ending in 299, I'll click on this and the screen reloads to show me the one ending in 299, 298, and so on. So this way I can work on the same screen without having to have a bunch of windows open at once. And if I don't need to see this anymore, I can just close that side panel. Okay, so let's get to our little quick tip. So I want to find an invoice that ends in 10304. I use the invoices and memo filter. So this time, instead of looking at it through the side panel, we are going to click on it and sort of drill into it. And we'll just look at this invoice for Weston Galleria, Houston. And this is a customer that's on credit hold. But let's say I wanted to fire off a quick invoice to them that mimics what they had done in this invoice. So I copy it. And I basically start a new one. Okay, and let's paste what they did before. One of the things that pops up that we notice here is that this invoice has been created, but I'm getting some warning messages. The customer's days past due number of days has been exceeded, and the status is on credit hold for that reason. This is some of the built-in intelligence that Acumatica has. Now, it doesn't prevent me from creating the invoice, or it doesn't have to. In this instance, it's really just informational to the person entering the invoice. It lets us know, okay, listen, their days past due has been exceeded, so they're on credit hold, but I can still create the invoice. And again, Acumatica anticipates my next move. Maybe what I should do is actually remove them from credit hold so that we can process this invoice. You could also have that be part of a workflow that can only be done by the AR manager if that's important to your business. Release is the same as post. So that's how we can do things like copy and paste an invoice for someone on the fly. Just to summarize, we looked at a list of invoices. We talked about filtering to find the invoice that you need. We looked at a side panel that allows you to preview the record in question. And we just did a quick copy and paste to show you the simplicity of not having to rekey every single thing in Acumatica. Acumatica also allows us to share information across the organization. So for example, one of the things I might do as I'm looking at my Acumatica customers is I might need to add notes, I might need to add files, or I might need to process certain activities within Acumatica. So we'll have this window up. But what I can do from the invoice screen is I can email this invoice. So say I email this invoice to my customer, that gets added to my customer activity. Okay. Past activities I can see here on the customer screen, activities tab. So I can see other communications that we've had with them, other invoices. This is a list of their on-site visit. I can also see any notes that we've got. The candy bowl in the break room has peanut butter Snickers, good to know. And I can add files if needed. So it's not just that I have the ability to do this at the customer level. I could do this at any level, the transaction level, a GL transaction, an invoice, a payable, a voucher. It's all up to you in the spirit of trying to share information across the organization so that you can make the best decisions possible. So if I wanted to add something, let's say I add a letter, maybe I sent them a collections letter, I can upload that as a file that's added to this customer record. So next time someone comes to visit this customer and they check out the file list, they can see that we've got a debt collection letter attached to them, as well as lots of other activities. The idea here is that we're empowering everyone who uses the system. So with the Acumatica licensing that isn't restrictive by user, you have the ability to allow multiple people to come into the system, to use the product, to add their notes and activities. And that empowers and educates other people who come across that information. You don't have to rely on one person who's the subject matter expert on this one customer. You can just consult Acumatica to find out what you need and move on. Okay. We've also got the ability, you can imagine all this data is going into the system. We can also do things like add automatic notifications. So a connected workplace should allow you to remain informed with different types of automatic notifications. So if we think about our dashboards, maybe if I'm looking at the customer review and we're over a certain amount overdue in AR, maybe somebody should be notified of that, and we can make that happen. Or perhaps if my open opportunities, let's take a look at this, get too large, or maybe I haven't called on any of my open opportunities lately, I can get a notification about that. Acumatica makes it easy to find what you need to find. So I've got color coding here, my estimated close date, I've gone way over those. These are color coded in yellow to show me opportunities that have no owner. These can exist here as the result of this generic inquiry, which is like a query. But they can also be used to notify people when we have problems. Imagine if I could find out all the opportunities that belong to me that have had no activity in 30 days. Might be time for me to pick up the phone and make some calls. So this can be useful at an individual contributor level and at the level of the entire organization. Imagine the sales manager being able to see everyone on her team who hasn't really had any activity in 30 days or 90 days. So this would allow someone at the manager level to see details on opportunities with no activity in 90 days, both as a list here with embedded color coding, but also as an automation, as a notification if she'd like. We're going to wrap up with reports. So we're going to talk about finance reports. There's multiple ways to get data from Acumatica. One is with generic inquiries. What you're looking at here is the result of such an inquiry. These are tools that a power user can use to create reports and lists. If you're familiar with SQL and you have a rough understanding of database tables, you can learn to write generic inquiries. This screen is the result of a generic inquiry. The other types of reporting are with Report Designer. These are reports that need to be formatted. So a specific report, perhaps like your invoice, or something that needs to have a specific format so it can be printed and needs to be able to look a specific way. And the other type of report that I'll show you are the finance reports. They're called Acumatica Report Manager reports, where you define rows and columns and the values that go in those rows and columns. We'll take a look at that. I know there are some people watching this that have some preference for Excel. Acumatica has anticipated that. You could export any of these reports to Excel. So I'll just prove that out. It's taking whatever I see on the screen right now. I hit the Excel button. It summarizes that and creates that as an Excel document for me. Okay, so we'll save that. Just to give you a preview. So now I'm looking at the same thing in Excel. Now you can do this with any of the inquiries that you create in Acumatica. So with the finance reporting, this is the Acumatica Report Manager concept. You can define your rows and columns that you want to see in any given report. So let's look at a report and then we can talk about how that works. We are going to look at the profit and loss statement. And we'll see how we can use drill down, grouping, consolidation within one single report. And this is one of the benefits that you can enjoy with the cloud product, is it's all live and hyperlinked. You can save a parameter like I just did and retrieve it later for running. So you don't have to re-enter the dates that you entered the first time. You can just save those. So we're looking at the profit and loss statement here. So when I say that you can control the rows and columns, what that means is if you decide you want to see sales freight broken out, you add that as a row. If you don't want it broken out and you just want it to be added to sales revenue, you define that as well. So you define all of these. Now, a lot of these financial reports ship with the system, and what you might do on implementation is just choose the tweaks that you'd like to add to make it more appropriate for your business. Then you define the columns, in this case, year to date and period to date. So these could be whatever you need them to be. This tree icon shows me the groups. And like I promised earlier in this conversation, I wanted you to be able to see that I've got this is revision 2 products and revision 2 services, and the branches beneath each of these. So if I wanted to see the services East branch, now I'm only seeing that on my P&L. If I want to see everything for services company, that's responsive. And if I want it to be consolidated, boom, I've got it all rolled up here. This is all within your grouping definitions that you can control within Acumatica. This is all configurable based on what you need. I can export it to a PDF. I can print it, send it, and of course, export to Excel, which I know people here would be into. So like I said, this is also hyperlinked. It's live. So if I click on the sales revenue because I'm curious about what numbers are actually behind those, it takes me to the general ledger details that compose that summarized number. I can even drill into that account and see activity against that sub-account. So hopefully that shows the ways in which Acumatica can allow you to A, see everything you need to see, and B, get everything under a single pane of glass, both in terms of reporting, using a dashboard as a place to start, allowing everyone who needs to be in the system to be in the system, so that you can make all the decisions that you need based on all the data that you actually have in the system. Okay, so what did we show you? Hopefully I proved why Acumatica is consistently winning awards for ease of use, both in terms of your ability to navigate the system, find what you need to find, and configure it in terms of the screens that you want to see that will help you navigate the most easily. Acumatica responds and makes that very easy. The design feels consistent as you move throughout the system, which allows people to gain confidence easily. Think of the dashboards as being the single source of truth between the front and the back office, how they can help you work actively, proactively, rather than just responsively, for example, from email. And if any of the built-in dashboard gadgets and reports need to be tweaked or improved for your business, the report writing tools give you what you need, whether that's a generic inquiry, using the report designer, or adjusting the financial reports to show everything that you need them to see. So we're happy to help as you go through this decision process. We can provide a high-level discovery call just to go through this, think about how it maps onto your business, and think through the decisions that you're making. We can offer preliminary software pricing based on what's scalable and what's needed for your business, and give a sense of project timing. So we'd love to hear from you as you're making this decision. What Galeforce does is really think through all the processes in your business and is really solution oriented, not just software oriented. But if this Acumatica looks appealing, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks.